On this edition of Sightings, ufologists believe they were described in the Bible.
And then they did not call them UFOs, the so-called ancient gods. And today we call them aliens.
Have extraterrestrials returned to the Holy Land?
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. Enter a new location in the annals of UFO hotspots, the Holy Land. Since 1989, UFOs, crop circles, and alien beings have been sighted over Israel by a chief of police, law enforcement and military personnel, and civilians. The first-hand accounts, as told to our Sightings investigative team in Israel, bear an uncanny resemblance to encounters here, half a world away. For decades, ufologists have postulated that many biblical passages and ancient inscriptions may have been the ancient world's way of documenting UFO sightings and extraterrestrial contact. And now, those same researchers claim that there is new and compelling evidence that UFO encounters in the Holy Land are not just ancient history.
People who have been studying UFOs seriously have reached the consensus that the angels of the Bible are returning, and these are the aliens of Israel today.
The most recent UFO flap is occurring here, in a quiet rural area near the coast of Israel.
In March 1993, strange things began to happen in a little town called Kadima.
The strange things that Israeli ufologist Doron Rotem has documented have a familiar ring to American ufologists.
Between March of 1993 and June of 1993, there were at least 5 visitations in Israel. The first publicized landing was at Porat Carmel's backyard.
It was just amazing. And I looked at that site and I thought to myself, what could this be?
The last thing Porat Carmel thought was that her home's backyard had been the site of a UFO visitation. It was not until 4 other women came forward, women who did not know each other and had not heard each other's stories, that Porat realized that she was part of Israel's greatest modern-day UFO encounter.
These are not women who have any ulterior motive whatsoever. They have nothing to gain by it.
It was a Saturday morning. I woke up very early. I looked at the alarm clock, and it was 6:30 in the morning.
I was asleep and woke up very early Saturday morning. I heard a loud bang. I was afraid to go downstairs and check it out. I preferred to wait until daylight.
It was 3 o'clock Saturday morning. I woke up with the noise of my dog barking. I went to the door near the window. Inside the house it was dark, but outside it was light. I opened the curtains and I saw a big giant image staring at me.
His face was more oval-shaped. His eyes were shiny like a stoplight, glittering. His nose was very small like a dot.
I tried to get to him. Instinctively, I raised my hand to push him away, but it was like pushing against a wall.
And all around, there were as if flickering lights.
He didn't say anything to me, but I heard a voice in my head. It was like telepathy. And the voice said, "Go away. I could smash you like a little dog. Go back to your husband."
And I got, so to speak, an answer in my head, in English, that this is the way it should be.
Before I could move, he disappeared.
We have 5 women who don't know each other describing the same bald-headed giants. They could have described little ones, green ones, red ones, humanoid ones. They had infinite possibilities of descriptions. They all described the same 7-foot, bald, round-headed creature.
And all 5 women found crop circles outside their homes within a few days of their experiences.
More than 59 crop circles of UFO landings were made between March and June 1993. Why? I don't know.
Around the circles was plenty of weed. I went there in the rainy season still. and there was plenty of vegetation. But in the circles themselves, there wasn't. There was just scraggly brown weeds.
The grass became, within a day, completely dry. It was before high as this grass all around, became completely dry, and eventually, after 2 or 3 days, lay down just like the way it's here.
And researchers discovered strange materials clinging to the dried crops.
There were strange red stains all over, and little pieces of unknown material that now we know it was a silicon. This is it. It's very light, it's very thin, and it's bright and glowing. We send it to the National Geological Lab, to Dr. Henry Foner, who tested this. According to Dr. Foner's testimony, this specific material we are talking about here is a pure 99.8% pure silicon. It does not exist naturally on Earth.
When details of the Kadima encounter came out in the media, other residents in the area began to come forward with stories they had kept secret for several years out of fear of ridicule.
In 1991, Eli Cohen, a young and ambitious businessman, was awoken one night when his house glowed from the inside.
I was standing near the kitchen window. I looked up and I saw an eye, a big eye with a light.
Eli claims that the object appeared about 3 nights. Each night, about 3.5 hours. It was glowing, it was hovering, it was moving, it made no sounds, no hum noise, and whatsoever.
It was very clear that it was a disc. I didn't need anyone to convince me that it was something from outer space.
It's just like a Mexican hat-shaped object, must be about 30 meters in diameter, with a round big hole on the bottom. This is not a hoax, this is not a fake, this is a real UFO, and it matches by its size, the size of the landing sites founded in Kadima 3 years later.
If extraterrestrials are trying to make contact, why Kadima? And why now?
There's a huge radio antenna located in the middle of Kadima. Maybe it's because there's electricity in the antenna, maybe it's villages, I don't know.
Electromagnetism generated by the radio towers is similar to the type of energy measured within the crop circles. But the energy here appears to be stronger, causing instant physical effects in some of the women.
It was a feeling as if a very strange energy came literally through me and out of me, and then just evaporated.
And in January of 1995, the phenomena took a bizarre turn.
800 meters from the Kadima antenna tower lived a farmer called Amos Guetta.
We woke up one Saturday morning. We went to feed the chickens, the sheep, and the dog as usual. At 6:30 in the morning when we woke up, it was already too late. All the animals were already dead, except the dog.
She opens his eyes and there are no eyeballs. 15 minutes later, the dog dies. She walks to her sheep pen and there are 3 dead sheep. They have been shaved around the cheekbone and have had a hole drilled to the bone itself.
No blood was found either. We tried to cut the veins of the sheep. No blood was in it. They were empty of blood.
She goes on to the chicken house where the chickens are literally frozen dead. No panic amongst the chickens. They're not scattered. They're in their roosts, dead. About 40 of them.
According to some ufologists in Israel, the significance of these events has not only scientific but also religious importance.
Israeli ufology is divided between rationalists and the mystics. The mystics believe that something extremely important is related to the landings.
Well, as one who has studied the Bible and to some extent a biblical scholar and a specialist on the ancient languages of the peoples of the ancient Near East, I became interested in the origins of their civilizations, and unintentionally perhaps I stumbled on the fact that ancient civilizations, the people at the time claimed that they were taught, they were given that knowledge by visitors to Earth from a neighboring planet. The difference between the interaction then and now was that then they did not call them UFOs. They knew precisely who was using them, who was flying, the so-called ancient gods. And today we call them aliens and are afraid of them.
The pattern of sightings in Israel continues. There have been additional reports of crop circles, UFOs, and cattle mutilations. We'll bring you more from the Middle East on an upcoming edition of Sightings.